In a runaway election, Joy Hofmeister was swept into office by voters wanting real change. Well, she joins me today. Welcome, Madam Superintendent. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Sam. It's great to be with you.
I got to tell you, first time I saw you, there was that hint of a deer in the headlight.
Oh, I do not doubt that. I remember it well.
It was the most incredible thing, because I thought, we're throwing this child to the wolves. First of all, you followed a very unpopular superintendent, and then when you got in there, I can almost see it. What have I done?
You know, it was certainly one of those situations where you just hit the ground running, literally. People are depending on it. So it's a quick learning curve, and you have to get it right for kids.
There's so many things, there's so many issues surrounding education. The elephant in the room, no disrespect to the elephant, is the budget.
Yes.
Well, they started talking first about 6 months ago. They were saying, we got about $600 million shortage. And well, I think they first said shortfall, then they said shortage. Then it was 800, and now it's 900 million plus. And you've had to come in with your axe and razor and do some serious cutting. Where are we on that?
Well, on December 23rd, a general revenue failure was declared by the state of Oklahoma, and that's regarding all appropriated dollars that come out of the general revenue fund. So every state agency was mandated to cut 3% of their budget. We have 5 accounts, if you will, over common education, and all of those had to be cut. We made some strategic decisions that involved moving some money into a different account in order to try to work behind the scenes to cushion the blow to students. But that's still something that it is going to be, I think, inevitable, with cuts at nearly $47 million mid-year in this semester during the current budget for schools. It is not a surprise if that has a negative effect on students, but we did our best to cushion the blow, and I think that was understood by school people. A little bit of misunderstanding among those in attendance at that meeting last part of this, the first part of this month of January. And we understand, though, that I just left working with some superintendents. We have an advisory council that meets monthly with superintendents. And we got some good feedback that they appreciated the way we handled that. However, we have more concern on the horizon, and that is that the 1017 fund, which is another revenue stream for common education as well as other parts of education in our state, that could also have a revenue failure, and we will know that particular number February the 16th, and that will be at the Board of Equalization. So we do anticipate more cuts coming to this current school year.
So the hits just keep on coming.
And then the $900 million that you're referring to is as we begin to prepare for the new budget for the next 2017 fiscal year.
Do you ever reach a point where you say, you know what, I don't want to go to work anymore?
I don't. I don't. This is about really adapting and overcoming. I think that's a military term, but it is something that we need to do now. We've got to keep our focus on kids, results for kids, higher student achievement, and finding a way. And Oklahomans are known for being able to rally when we're in a point of crisis. It really doesn't matter at this moment how we got there. We need to move our way forward.
It seems to me like, and you know, again, I hearken back to when I first came here in the very early 80s. There wasn't even any thought given, you know, to how are we going to fund schools. The money was there. There was a general push to make certain that education dollars were there. Now, what we're facing is we've got a reputation. We're one of 4 or 5 states that has, you know, just cut and cut and cut and cut. And we're almost, not quite, but almost to a point where we can't cut anymore. Teachers are paying for supplies out of their own pocket.
Right.
There are no raises to be had. And it seems to me like we just can't stretch them any thinner. And now somebody's popped up and said, well, we need to go in and consolidate some of these smaller districts. That's not going to solve the problem. That will exacerbate it and make classrooms even larger, and we'll lose teachers.
Well, our focus is really going to be on meaningful solutions. There's all options on the table, and we are going to see in this next legislative session great conversation around the topic of consolidation. Also, I think finding ways to do things in a smarter and more efficient way. So that needs to be examined and thoughtfully considered.
Can you give me some examples of what we might be talking about?
Well, I've seen proposals that talk about sizes of student enrollment in a particular district. I've seen discussions about merging the way people are using, like the streamlining of and sharing of resources. So there are a number of ways of going about this. I think we just need to be very careful that we are talking to those who would be affected, and that we keep at the core consideration how it affects kids. It's easy to politicize things, and we need to guard against that. Sometimes there are some solutions that might sound good, but when you dig deeper and actually apply numbers to that proposal, it's not as cost savings or cost effective. So I am going to challenge those who are wanting to solve a very important problem that we have with a budget shortfall, to be certain that they've talked with many who will be affected. And what we will end up doing is working with those stakeholders and legislators so that we can facilitate some of that discussion ourselves.
You know, for the first time in my memory, I'm hearing heads of chamber of commerce across the state saying, hey, come on, folks, you got to come up with the money for the schools, because it's a business. It's a business impact that we're talking about. They won't come here if the schools aren't strong enough.
Boy, absolutely. And you know, you may recall, I come out of an education background, but also out of a business background too. We have to invest in our people. We need to invest in our state. We also have a responsibility to be doing what we do with the taxpayer dollars in the most efficient and effective way. So I think there really is a call for balance, but there is a focus on education in Oklahoma like we have not seen, I think, in decades. And that is a good thing. This is about investing in the future of our state, and that's the youngest generation and their success academically as individuals.
I saw an article in the paper in the Tulsa World where the courts have approved the wording for OU President Boren's proposal that we institute a 1-cent tax, that money would go then to schools, and lawmakers would be prevented from deducting that amount from anything else that they've already appropriated, or, you know, in other words, it would be a constant flow that they couldn't touch. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I appreciate anyone who is coming to the problem with a plan. We need more ideas, not fewer. We have many, in fact, a flurry of legislation that is seeking to address and provide a plan. So you've mentioned one that is coming perhaps from outside the legislative process. All hands on deck. No idea should be discarded. There is I think, important duty we have and responsibility to listen and examine. But this is something that I think has a lot of hurdles right now that we will need to watch and see what happens. I have a priority that is part of my duty as the state superintendent, and that is to keep my eye on the ball and go to the legislature, advocate for the needs of our state. There is a constitutional provision for common education, and I have a job to do with the legislature right now. So okay. I would prefer not to even
You're
think.
Tap dancing.
No, I'm not. I am not going to deal in hypotheticals. Okay. And that proposal, while I appreciate, I know it's over 100 people who were a part of that effort. That's the kind of engagement we need. But we also have what is at the the door right now, and that is legislation to provide a plan to also provide a dedicated funding stream, a long-term solution. That's what we need.
But the question remains, would you support a 1-cent tax for education?
I'm not going to weigh in at all on hypotheticals. I can't yet. It's just not appropriate. Keeping my eye on the ball and doing my job to represent Oklahomans that are pre-K through 12th grade and advocate for their needs to the legislature, that's where I'm going to keep my focus.
And on that, we'll take a short break and we'll be back right after this.